So welcome to everyone who's downloaded this video. Thank you so much. So you will probably either be a director of a homeowners association or a trustee of a body corporate, but generally you will be an estate manager or one of the members of an estate management team. And today we have the pleasure of spending the next 15 minutes or so with a lady who I'll tell you a bit more about in a minute, a lady by the name of Gail Whitear. She runs a business called Coaching with Gail. So Gail, first up, thanks so much for being here today, and we so look forward to this discussion.
Thanks for inviting me, Jeff.
Cool. All right, so let's kick it right off. You know, I, in my business life in ARC, often get bogged down, as no doubt you will, with operational issues, work issues, complaints, conflict, problem solving. How do I deal with this issue? Where it's all focused on work, and generally it's about skills that you need to impart to get the job done according to your performance management system, if you like. We so neglect, however, the other things that are so impactful on those things we worry about all day. And we're going to touch on some of them today. And I took the decision because I too get bogged down with detail. I too get bogged down with the world of work. I too get so focused on a particular project or a particular activity. And then when I hit a stumbling block, I don't know where to turn, you know? So we turn to our wives or our husbands, we turn to our directors or our trustees, or we turn to a fellow employee. But it's not the same because they too are bogged down with all of this detail. So I took the life-changing decision to hire what is called a life coach. And I got in touch with Gail Whitear, who operates out of Durban, but with the amazing technology that we have at our disposal, many of the sessions that we have with Gail, and you'll remember Gail from our recent round of chapter meetings, of course, and you'll see Gail again at our conference at the end of the year. However, it is when I get stuck, it is when I get so caught up in activities that I need somebody to guide me through the other things that matter, through, in most cases, the bigger things that matter. So we've got Gail today, and I'm encouraging you all to contact Gail just to discuss with her whether you perhaps could get value out of interventions with Gail to help you get through our very activity-based days, our extremely stressful jobs that we have, either individually or as a team inside your homeowners association or body corporate. So let's get going, Gail. I think a good place to start, because I had to start there, is perhaps asking you, you're a life coach. Now that's quite a big statement. What does life coaching actually entail?
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The word life it's huge. You know, it's a big statement, exactly that. So where do you begin with that? So let's not focus on that for now. Let's rather focus on the word coach. Now, everybody knows about the word coach. Everybody has experienced some form of coaching, mainly in the world of sports. That is where we know it from mostly. So what is the role of a coach, say, within the sporting world? Well, essentially, they're an expert within that sport. They teach their team about the rules of engagement, what is expected, and really what is the goal? What's the goal for that particular sport? Well, the sports will say you need to get as many points and get the ball or whatever it is that you're playing with in order to get as many points for you to win, okay? But the coach is there to guide. The coach is there to mentor. The coach is there to sort of stand back and actually watch how the team operates. The coach is there to help the team to gel together, to be the best possible team that they can be, to problem solve on the court, off the court. You know, there's so much to it, okay? So coach is really, really important in terms of that. So essentially, that's what a life coach is. We don't deal with life in its entirety. Really and truly what we do is we look at, when I see a client, we talk about a specific area or something that is happening in their life and they don't quite know what to do. So it's very much about the here and now. It's very much a doing word. Coach is a doing word. Life is a doing word. It's very much about putting action in. Just conversely, when it comes to therapy, so I often like to just compare. Very often what happens is therapy is about a journey going back and working your way to present. Coaching, on the other hand, is about seeing your present and deciding what needs to happen in order to move forward. So it's very much, you use the word stuck. It is so much like that. So many of my clients who come to me, they're at the proverbial crossroads. They're stuck. They know that they don't want to be there, but they just don't know what to do, where to go, and how to get there. So it really is about strategy. It's about moving forward. It's an incredible relationship of synergy. It's incredibly positive. It creates an enormous amount of excitement when you actually realize, wow, there are solutions. It's a very solution-orientated experience. Coaching is about that. Coaching is about looking at things from a 360-degree angle, from an aerial view, just helping people to almost just elevate themselves out of that bogged downness, as you say, getting in the details, where you just go into that tunnel vision. Or the thing that I like to say is like looking through life through the eye of a needle. You know, we really can lose an incredible amount of perspective. So coaching really is about gaining that perspective, helping the clients to get that perspective. And very often through that perspective, they actually have the solutions. They know what they need to do. I don't actually need to do that for them. It's just helping them access that part of them. Yeah. But specifically for me, what I'm so interested as a coach is it's not just about the doing. It's not just about goal setting. A lot of people think it's about goal setting, just about goal setting in terms of coaching. They say, well, this is what I want to achieve, help me achieve it. And then coaches mentor or coaches walk that journey and kind of be that person's number one fan. And that is a part of it. But there is something that I think it's overlooked a lot within the world today, and it's this thing called soft skills. So it's really this inside-out approach. There are certain life skills that I think that most people, and at one stage definitely including myself, that we lack so much. And these soft skills, and I think that we're going to talk a little bit more about it going forward, so I'm not going to go too much into too much detail. So this is more of a bit of an introduction to that. But I love to work with the soft skills, the transferable skills, because those are the skills. It's about attitude. It's about how you deal with life that is actually more important than the actual dealing with life itself, so to speak. There's action definitely to be put in, but there is so much more to it, and it's very much that inside-out approach. It's about kind of taking that journey in and going, wow, like I'm the master of the ship. Where do I want to sail it? What do I need to do? What am I lacking? What do I need to learn? It's all of those things. So it's a very much what we've, there's a phrase that's been coined that kind of is out there a lot. It's quite a popular word of self-inquiry. It's becoming more reflective into self, understanding, getting to know self. And it's quite astounding how when I take clients on the coaching journey, how little they realize they know themselves, that they haven't spent any meaningful time, kind of getting to know what are my likes, what are my dislikes, what do I want, what don't I want, And if we don't have a picture of what that is, if you don't know those kinds of things, you don't have a hope of moving forward. It's going to be very hard for you to make decisions. It's going to be very hard for you to have a picture and a goal of where you want to go, So essentially coaching is very much almost like giving a client a roadmap with a compass and all the kinds of tools that they need in order to empower them so that they can go about navigating life in a more successful, effective and focused way.
So what was fascinating for me was your comment that you said that you work in the soft skills arena. In other words, you don't get involved in teaching people how to do the job because that's a given. That's why they were employed. And very often an employer won't send somebody on a course that they perceive not to be part of the job. That's just the way it works. But you mentioned a word which you said, I think it was transferable, which makes it fairly individualized, which is very powerful. So you said you focus on those issues that one of our members, whether he or she be an estate manager or a director or a staff member, needs in respect of their coaching journey. I love that as well. And then said you focus on the soft skills. What are some examples of those soft skills that you refer to?
Okay, so let me just give a quick example of a couple of what we would know as hard skills. So I mentioned about hard skills. So you get soft skills and you get hard skills. So hard skills essentially are the things that you would need to learn in a company, of like how their systems work, how their processes work. A hard skill would be essentially like a plumber. You know, a plumber comes in and he needs to know how to fix your sink. All right. And so he actually puts the action in. He knows what the tools are. He knows how to use them, et cetera, in order to do what he needs to do for his job. It's the same with an electrician. It's the same with an IT specialist. It would be the same with in your industry, in your job. There are certain skill sets that you're going to need to require. So hard skills would be things like reading, writing, computation skills, those sorts of things. Okay. Like if you're going to bake a cake, for instance, okay, the hard skills are in baking. You know, you've got to know, you've got to have a bowl and you've got to put the ingredients in and et cetera, okay. So essentially, hard skills can be very specialized to a certain task, okay. So a plumber's not going to bring out the mixer to fix a sink, okay. Okay. You are not going to bring your wonderful skills to an electrical problem. Okay, it's just not going to work. Okay, so hard skills are something that pretty much anybody can learn. And very often when people, especially companies, they employ new people, they're not too interested in their hard skills. Yeah. Because they know that they can teach them, they'll put them on courses. The problem that companies do fall short on, however, though, is they focus a lot on the hard skills. They spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of their resources teaching the hard skills. And they are incredibly important. You need to know the systems, you need to know the processes, the procedures, et cetera. You need to have the skills in order to do the job that you've been hired for. There's a thing called soft skills. These are the unseen skills. The reason why a lot of companies, when it comes to their training, they fall short of training that more, because one, they are transferable, so they stay with you. You can take them wherever you go. But the problem is that because they're unseen, they're not as measurable, they're not as tangible. Companies fall short in that way, in the sense what they do is they get very, very focused on what's measurable. You know, those numbers that you can put up on the board. Yeah. You know, you can see how many sales you've done. You can do trajectories. You can do your forecasts. You can do your budgeting. You've got the numbers. You know, it's all of those very tangible things. Okay. Soft skills, however, carry the hard skills. Okay. So you could, for instance, let's just keep it simple, like with a plumber, for instance. Soft skills is about self-confidence. Soft skills is about problem solving. Soft skills is about discipline, motivation, consistency, empathy even. Soft skills is about team playing. Soft skills is about time management. You know, and these I'm just touching on to name a few. You know, it's actually quite a minefield. I mean, soft skills can be really, really huge. In fact, research has now shown that big companies, corporate companies, they hire people more for their soft skills than they do for their hard skills, because they know that they can teach them the hard skills. Probably about 50, 60, 70 years ago, the most desirable qualities or skills that companies were looking for back in those days was actually hard skills. The top 3 hard skills they were looking for was reading, writing, and computation skills. Okay, so you needed to have that. But now, because of the age of information, the age of education, you know, because we are so much more evolved as a society, those are a given. Okay, and not only that, I can learn anything I want, and I can find out anything I want through my phone, through this little device that I'm sitting on right now doing this very thing with you. I can go onto Google, I can teach myself about anything I want, I can pick up a new skill, I can go and do a new course, I can do any of that. I can actually get that information whenever I want to. Okay, and that will help me with my hard skills. But my hard skills are useless if I don't have self-confidence. My hard skills are useless if I don't have discipline. My hard skills are useless if I get hired by a company and I'm a really bad team player. My hard skills are useless if I can't problem solve. They are so powerful. And the thing is you take all of those with you wherever you go.
Correct.
Very often people will say, oh, I don't have skills. I don't have what it takes to be X, Y, and Z, or I'm unemployable. And it's like, it's ridiculous. It's such a limiting belief system, because there is this fountain of soft skills that are actually sitting in every single one of us, but we're not looking for them. We're not seeing that these wonderful gold nuggets there that are just waiting to be seen and looked at. We've been problem solving since the day we were born.
Yeah.
You know, I had a problem. I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
It was a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I started crawling. Cognitively, I didn't know what I was doing. Part of it was about instinct, but it didn't matter that I actually had that ability inside of me. So soft skills is really an incredibly self-empowering place to be. It's so incredibly, because it empowers you to know that actually, hang on, I have a lot more ability than I realized. And actually, the hard skills are such a small part of it. I can, people change their careers. In this day and age, actually, funnily enough, if you stay in one career all your life, sadly, it's not like the old days, that, you stayed with one company for 50 years and that was wonderful. Now we go, what's wrong with you? You don't have ambition, it's almost frowned upon in some ways, know. So because we're moving all the time, because life is moving and changing and swapping and all the rest of it. But so then what do we have when life is moving so fast and changing? Technology is moving fast, and we can't keep up with it. It's so overwhelming. So what do you then have? What can you hold on to in a world that is so fast-paced? Your soft skills.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is something that I can hold on to, and doesn't matter what life throws at me, doesn't matter what I put my hand at. I know that I can problem solve.
Correct.
I know that I can be disciplined. I know that I have the ability to learn. I know that I have good communication skills, and nothing and no one can take that away from me. That is something I own, and I continue to carry on. And so that really puts me in good stead for that whole process, especially within the coaching process of moving forward. So part of the coaching process for me is to bring that into the sphere of my clients' self-awareness, reminding them that actually you are way more equipped than you realize, and let's work on that more. Let's refine it more. Let's focus on these strengths. Manage our weaknesses, but let's focus on those strengths. And there are strengths that all of us can have, and we have those abilities without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff. I mean, I recall the reason why I contacted you wasn't because I couldn't do my job properly. I was okay with that. I've been doing it for 12 years. But I was coming up with problems. I was coming up where I wasn't feeling good about what I was doing. And I didn't know why. And that was the problem. Until I met you and we went through a session, and slowly we uncovered some of these softer issues and dealt with them, not by sending me on a course, not by enrolling me at UCT for 6 months, because one needed to focus on me and those skills that I need. And that is what was so empowering for me. And I know that estate managers go through those issues all day and every day. I know that because I've worked in this industry for so long. So am I right in saying that your work with a coachee, irrelevant of the job that he or she holds, I'm not sure about that word, but you know what I mean, is very individualized? I know that when we met, you said, let's meet for 1 hour first, and let's do some needs analysis and discovering and uncovering, and then we'll decide whether we need to engage on a program. And you do it in tranches of 4 weeks or 8 weeks. So for me, it felt like it was for me. And but you did use models. You did use tried and tested models that you've developed, that others have developed, to stress points. So would I be correct in saying there's a balance between simply focusing on me and my problems, but balancing it with using outside models and systems and techniques that have been tried and tested?
Yeah, absolutely. So without a doubt. So normally, I before I take on a client, I like to meet with them first, and that's free of charge. And there's absolutely no obligation, Coaching is a mute exercise unless you're ready for change. Okay, a lot of us want to change.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of us want to change,
Yeah.
but there are not many of us who are ready to change. In other words, it's about taking responsibility and actually putting the action in. Okay, so I will only take people on who are ready and are wanting to put the action in. Coaching is just such a beautiful process and just so exciting, and it just works so well for people who are ready. So if somebody is not ready, I generally recommend either they need to perhaps go into therapy or do some other things. You know, there's various things that I'll recommend that they might do.
Yeah.
But most certainly I say, you know what coaching is all about now that you've actually experienced it, just for this hour with me. When you're ready, you know where I am if you need me. Okay, so that first session is really about that getting to know, that meet and greet. But absolutely, it gives me an opportunity to have a look and see what are the needs, what is the situation. Firstly, is coaching for you? Is coaching actually, can coaching help you with this particular issue?
Yeah.
All right. If it's something that has to do with past trauma or something like that actually needs a space of catharsis, no, coaching is not going to help you with that. So I really do need to assess that. So if I can assess that, okay, this is about the here and now, this is about moving forward, this person is ready, this person really does want to change, then it's essentially about saying, okay, so what needs to happen for us to get you moving forward? So I definitely work out a bit of a program specifically for that person. However, though, there are certain universal principles that I draw on.
Yeah.
In other words, there are just certain things out there that are universal. There are certain truths that apply to every human being. And I think that these are incredibly empowering and very, very important things that we need to understand. So I'm just going to touch on one specific one, is the power of choice. So the power of choice, if you don't fully understand and embody the power of choice and what that is and what free will is, and the fact that we are the only species on this planet that actually has the ability to be able to choose, to analyze, to see things from a 360 degree, from an aerial degree. We're able to see the future. We're able to look to the past in any one given moment in this space. We have that ability. So that's a phenomenal ability to have. It is such a gift and such a privilege. However, though, it is so, so important to understand how to use it to the best of its ability. And we're not taught that.
Yes.
We're not taught that in the schooling system at all. We're not taught that as children, very sadly. We're not taught this power of choosing.
Yeah.
So there are certain universal principles that apply to absolute every human being. And what I love about principles is they're not complex. They're incredibly, incredibly simple.
I found
so in the first 4 to 6 sessions that I have with my clients, I like to see them on a weekly basis because we really are talking about these principles. We really are working on these things. And funnily enough, in that space, where as they start to embody these principles and understand, and we start opening up the mind, opening up perspectives, getting people to see things from different perspectives, it is amazing. They start to problem solve naturally on their own.
That's true.
It's such an incredible thing because nothing happens in isolation. No problem or no. So if you're having a problem even in your personal life, it's going to impact your work life. It's going to impact your spiritual life. It's going to impact your physical life because we're not these. It's not these things that happen in a vacuum that just don't touch. Yes. We're so connected. We're so connected within ourselves. We're so connected with our environments and the people around us. So it's such a, so I don't need to come in and do an overhaul of your life. Actually, let's just focus on one thing. And here's the thing: is if you learn the principle of choice, you can apply it to anything.
Yeah.
It's the same as soft skills. If you learn about soft skills, if you learn how to communicate better and more effectively, you can apply it to anything. Yeah. How you communicate to the checkout person in Checkers and how you communicate to the CEO. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
So we think that we need to work hard. We don't.
Yeah.
We just need to work smart. We've got the most phenomenal abilities, which we don't fully embody and understand.
Yes.
But with those abilities comes responsibility. There's a gift. We have a gift. And it's about understanding the power of that gift. And the reality is when people's lives are falling apart, they don't realize that they've been choosing all along. They've actually been exercising this power of choice. But sadly, many people will think that they have to, or they're victims, or it's not their fault, and they go into that victim mentality. So it's critical that we move and shift that mindset through a universal principle of going, you have free will. You can't deny it. 7 billion people have free will.
Yeah.
So let's look at that. Let's understand that. Okay. And let's work on that principle. And then take that principle And then let's start applying it to the particular challenges that you have in your life.
Okay.
So one needs to understand the principles in order to start applying it then
100%.
to those challenges, right? So when they go, okay, fine, I'm going to start using my power of choice, and I'm going to start embodying it, and I'm going to start understanding it better, and I'm going to use it more in my work life, because I'm feeling really disempowered in that place.
Yeah.
And I'm really struggling because I've got a boss that I don't get along with, or I've got a colleague that's really irritating me, or I feel like I'm not valued, and I feel like I'm just another cog in the great wheel of the corporate world, you know, the corporate monster that just chews everyone up and spits them out. I mean, you know, the victim mentality that can come with that is absolutely enormous. Yeah. So, okay, fine. And then what we do is that's where the accountability is. That's where we walk that journey. That's where it's like, that's where I walk that journey and going, right, take that principle and now practice it. Yeah. You need to practice it. You need to put it in. That's so right. I work very much from the learn, do, grow model. Okay. Yeah. So you learn the new principle, you put it into action, you come back into a session and we discuss it and we talk about it. What did you learn? What did you like? What didn't you like? What must stay? What mustn't stay?
Exactly.
You know, it's just going, oh wow, what did you see? Yeah. And it's so, it honestly is so phenomenal to see the light bulbs go on.
Yeah.
To see the light. They go, oh my gosh, the world is a different place. And what's so beautiful about it is it's always been there. It's just how we want to see the world that determines how we behave in it and where we go with it and what we do with it. Yeah. And it's there for the taking if you're ready and that you're willing. Yeah. So as much as it is such a personalized journey, there are definitely models and certain things that are very universal, and that are, you know, that apply to every human being that I think that everybody needs to know.
Oh, brilliant. All right. So this is incredible stuff. And I've witnessed that firsthand. You know, I didn't go home and have to write tests. I just got things presented to me. And then I had to apply them and think about them and explore them. And then come back and talk about them. And there was never a wrong or a right. I never did well or badly, you know. It was just part of that process, and that was beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. So, Gail, I know that you also do motivational talks on a range of topics relating to the power of choice, relating to problem solving, conflict handling, and the list goes on and on and on. And I also know that organizations that would like to bring you in to do a 30-minute or a 1-hour talk about all of the stuff that you're talking about, but more focused on their organization, that you're also happy to do that. So that's something else that our members must please consider. You can use that as well. All right, so we're going to wrap it up there, Gail. That was absolutely fantastic. My recommendation to you as a member of our wonderful organization and this wonderful industry is, if you don't really know whether you need something, but you're grappling a little bit, that you are living in a stressful environment, that times are perhaps not as right as they should be, please give Gail a call and she will be sure to get back to you as soon as she can. Gail's based in KZN, but she travels and can travel as long as it's pre-planned. Or I know Gail can do wonderful interactions using Zoom or a combination of both. So Gail, it's been great having you. Thanks so much for coming. You've got so much wisdom, and I've got so much out of you, and I know our members will as well. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It's been a blast. I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and it's always such a privilege and just so much fun connecting with you. So thank you so much. And just one little last thing is that on a monthly basis, I do little webinars for people to come into, just to get a taste of the kind of content that I work with, and I do every month. I do a range of different topics because, it's a never-ending process. This, you know, there's no arrival point. We are driven to evolve. We're driven to grow. You know, there's this part of us that there is no ceiling, you know. We're as limited as we want to be, you know. And growing and learning is such a passion for me, and I love to just create that monthly space for people just to tap in and just to learn a little bit more. So by all means, there is that too. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks, Gail. And what's coming up on the next slide is Gail's details, where you should have all the contact details, which we'll load up for you, which you can then access. So thanks once again.
Thanks, Jeff.